You have a stainless steel hose and you've either had a failure where the end comes off, or in my case, you want to switch out the brass or non-stainless steel connectors with a stainless steel hose connector. What do? Can you do it yourself, or do you just have to buy a new one? Let's see if we can fix it. Hey y'all, I'm Renee, and welcome to Tater Town. First, let me tell you the reason why I'm doing this. I have a 25-foot hose. There's nothing wrong with the hose itself. I don't need something 25 foot long. I initially bought this because I was unsure how much I would need for my chicken watering system. So instead of buying another hose that is half this size, I'm just gonna go ahead and take this apart, reconstruct it, cut it in half, and make two hoses that are 12.5 feet each. But the main reason why I want to do this isn't because I need a smaller hose. The problem with these though is most of the time it will say stainless steel hose, but you're still not getting a garden hose connector that is stainless steel. They're usually brass, and if you're not getting one made for drinking water, that brass may have lead in it if it doesn't say it's lead free. The problem I'm having with this right now, and I took this one off already, is because this is not stainless steel, I've gotten so much corrosion in here that it is hard to clean, and it's starting to cut off the flow of the water. Now, stainless steel is great. It is not rust proof. It is not corrosion proof. It is corrosion and rust resistant, which means it's gonna last a lot longer than these fittings will. So my goal is to replace these ends with stainless steel hose connectors. This is what you're looking at when you're replacing it. You need a male and female garden hose thread connector that goes to a hose barb. This one is 3/8 inch. It may vary depending on the size of the hose you have on the inside, so you want to double check that. Again, you could probably find a hose that already has stainless steel connectors. You're going to pay a lot more money for it. This hose probably costs the same amount as this set of connectors. All right, so let's talk about getting this thing apart so you can rework it. Now again, I took mine apart on the one side just so I could see what I was working with to order the parts that I needed. The first thing you're going to notice is you've got a ferrule, which is just a metal tube, and then it's crimped onto it to hold everything together. This guy is pretty cool because it has a thread on the back end, and then I've got this that screws on that gives you a little bit added protection, makes everything nice and neat looking, right? Totally unnecessary, but if you can find connectors that have that back thread on it, by all means, use that. It wasn't necessarily that important to me to have that. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do to get this off, you want to take a pair of dikes, also known as diagonal cutters, and I'm going to make a cut in here just to kind of break that open so I can bend it. Now, I'm not worried about any damage to the hose initially because I'm just going to cut off anything I might damage. And now I can cut this off. I'm gonna put some gloves on so I don't slice my hand. Hang on. Yeah, gloves probably a good idea just because it is metal, it is sharp. If you wanted to, Amazon does sell a crimping tool for ferrules. I don't do enough of this to make it worth buying one. It's not to say I wouldn't love to have it, but it's not necessary. But you can easily buy these tubes that you can crimp on if you want to make it look exactly like you just bought it. And now I need to cut this off. So now I have both ends off. I'm going to remove the entire tube from inside the sheet so I can cut this in half so I don't do any damage to this hose. So I'm going to pull this out. All right, now that I have that, I am going to go ahead and tidy this up just a little bit. You can also, if you want to make this nice and neat, you can, if you've got a grinder. All right, I had to reevaluate. Okay, so these are great. I went to a bigger pair. I was having trouble cutting this off. Now we're going to go to the tin snips and see if that, yeah, there we go. That's a lot better. Okay. So again, this stuff is still really sharp, so be careful. I'm just trying to find the midpoint because I'm going to cut this in half. So this is about where my midpoint is. I'm going to go ahead and take this dike. Actually, I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to go ahead and a little bit more of a challenge to get it in the center than it was at the end. I just want to make a little mark. And now that I've crushed it, I'm going to open it up till I get to where there's no crush. And this stuff will easily come apart, but it also stays together very well, so you have a little bit of leeway without it falling apart completely on you. Now I'm going to cut this guy off here. So now I have 2 hoses. Work on this one. This one was nicer. And I'm going to cut this guy in half. You can just use regular scissors for this. I want to put some tape on this. I'm actually going to use friction tape that I use for automobile wiring harnesses. So all I'm going to do... There's probably way more than what I needed, but... And just folding it over the lip. Quick, easy fix. I'll do that to this side. You could use vinyl tape. I just like the way that this sets up compared to vinyl tape. Vinyl tape tends to get really nasty, especially when it gets hot outside. So at least this won't get all over your hands and get sticky like vinyl tape. All right, now that I've got that, I am going to lay this out straight. Yeah. Let's put this hose clamp on. Now I can put these on. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is add some more friction tape to the hose part, just in case. I'm going to reinforce this so this doesn't bite into it or cause any holes, and in case the tape on this comes off, it doesn't puncture or scrape or do anything bad to the internal hose. Now I'm going to go back and forth. I can always add more later if I need to. All right, now do the same thing on this one. The hose clamp that came with this, the other one is messed up. So luckily I have like a bunch of hose clamps. Put this guy back on. All right, I like these better than this. The other one happened to go off the track and it was just really messed up. Of course, this is a flathead. Who uses flatheads anymore? Nobody. Yeah, it's not as pretty as the original, but that is irrelevant as far as I'm concerned. And if you want to make it pretty, just wrap it with some tape. And you've got these little things here. You can always just wrap it up if you want, but this is good enough for me. Oh, donkey. Aw. Ivy. She's out hanging out in the new chicken run. All right, so that is how you can fix or modify if you want to change out the connectors. That is how you can do that instead of having to buy a whole new rope. I keep calling it a rope, like I'm going to jump rope with this. Instead of having to buy a whole new stainless steel hose, you could even make your own if you buy the tubing. I'm sure you can buy the sheathing. And if you really want to make professional looking hoses, you can get the ferrules and the crimper for the ferrules. Well, I at least hope this helps some of you out there if you're trying to fix your hose and have nowhere to start. And be sure to check out some of the other videos here on Tater Town. We'll see you on the next one. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you can see more videos that will help you do those things you never thought you could.